Good afternoon, everyone. When I first started my business back in 2009, I only had 10,000, and accordingly, there were no safety net, there were no investors, just faith, perseverance, and maybe a touch of madness. So people say, Gigi, you are walking away from a good job. You're a woman, why get into business? Why do you get into such a hard industry? And honestly, someday I was thinking to myself the same question too. And I remember the first morning after I quit my job, I remember I walked out of my apartment and it was a quiet street and there was a drizzle on my umbrella, and I was wondering to myself, what have I just done? Hi, my name is Gigi, and this afternoon I would like to share this with you, that resilience isn't loud, it is quiet. And it is a choice to keep going when no one is watching. So, in my early days, I had no business background. I had no fancy MBA, just a passion to build something meaningful, that is to add value to others and influencing life. That's all I had. And I remember there were days in my early days of business, I walked past cafes, I walked past restaurants, and I smelled fresh coffee. I know I'm in tea. and I smell warm pastry filling up the air, and my stomach is growling, but I had to pretend that I'm not hungry. And what I did next is, I go home, I boil water, and I eat the same packet of instant noodle again. That was how I started. And I reminded myself, this is just temporary. Because my calling, my vision, is gonna worth the sacrifice. I remember lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, did I make a mistake? Making this decision of quitting a high-paying job? I was in semiconductor back then. And I also thought to myself, should I have stayed in my job? Should I? But then there's always this still small voice inside of me. Keep going. Just one more day. And growing up, I watched my parents really work tirelessly in our own F&B businesses. And my mom will always tell me, Gigi, if you want something, earn it with your dignity. And that stayed with me until today, because it really gave me the grit to move on when the next storm comes. I'm not sure any of you here, have you ever felt that kind of quiet fear that whisper in the middle of the night when you're alone with your choices? So, starting out, I faced a lot of judgment, especially as a woman. People were saying, Gigi, you are too soft. You are not cutthroat enough for business. Maybe you should just focus on settling down. And it really hurt deeply hearing all this. It really hurt. But instead of that, I let it fail me, not break me. Because I realized if I wanted to succeed, I couldn't wait for permission. I had to claim my space, build my table, and not just ask for a seat at someone else. That is how I was in my early days with external doubts and all this. I'm not sure how many of you here that you, even sitting right now, that you're thinking, I want to give up. And even you felt like the world was just moving on without you. I'm not sure how many of you feel that way right now, but I did. Every single day back then. Every insult that brought to me, every doubt from others, it became my fear. And I whispered to myself, I may be young, back in 2019. I may be underestimated, but I'll never be overlooked. I'll never be. So, back in the 2013, things seems to be really improving in my business. So until it all came crashing down, because two of the brands that I really built my business around suddenly cut ties. They are just no reason, no warning, they just gone. And I remember I felt disheartened back then. My reputation was questioned. How am I supposed to tell all my customers that the brand cut ties? I couldn't. And the contract that worth hundreds of thousands, that I worked through day and night, I worked hard for it, I built a company since, they were just gone. It felt as if like all the work that I did, it just didn't matter. And that was how I really felt back then. But in the darkness, I realized resilience is really not about pretending everything is fine. It's really not. It's about choosing to rebuild even your heart feels broken. And then take a lot of courage. And take a lot of strength from within you to just move on. I cried. I doubted. I asked myself if I had the strength to start all over again. Resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the refusal to let the pain be the ending. So that was me back in 2017. So I rebuilt from scratch again. I changed my approach. I innovated, and I kept going. And just as things began to stabilize, just another storm came in my business, reminding me that life tests are rarely singular. It's like the parallel tension of in life, the good and the bad, they can all happen together. And this is life. So from the collapse, I learned a very, very important lessons. That resilience isn't about avoiding failure. It is letting that failure refine you. Just like how gold is being refined by fires. And just before that, a close friend that I hired and worked in my company, I experienced betrayal and breach of trust because she threatened to resign. And she undermined me in front of others, so I just had to let her go. And I must say, the betrayal that I experienced in this, it actually cut deeper than any business loss I had. It really cut deeper. And yes, and in 2017, so a strategic investor came knocking at my door. And before committing, so I actually did a test project with this investor to see whether we can work together. And at first, things seems to really become very, very promising. So just as the project went south, not only did he abandon it, but he began to haunt me. He began to challenge my integrity, creating pressures and bring uncertainty to the table. And you know what? I just returned every single investment that he gave to me, to the company. Even though it really hurt financially, So you probably ask why? Because I would rather lose the money than lose the integrity. And what I want to say is integrity is really not just a value. It never. It is actually the foundation that keeps you standing when everything is shaking. So if there's anything that you face in life, I would like to encourage you to uphold your integrity, because it will be the only value that stands in your life, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, whether it's in your school project, or whether it's in your business or in your professional life. And it's really, really very, very important. Then miracle happened. So in 2012, during a financial crunch, we did a pop-up at Takashimaya Bank in Singapore. A stranger stopped by, chatted with me, and he enjoyed the conversation so much that he said, "Gigi, can I ask you out for lunch?" And so we set up a lunch during my break. Then all of a sudden he said, "Gigi, you may not have met my wife. You don't even know who she is, but she wants me to tell you this, that we want to park 130,000 Sing dollars in your company." You know, it was exactly the amount we need to stay afloat in our business during that time, back in 2012. And I was in disbelief because there was no string attached. There were no questions asked. So as I was in disbelief, I'd actually offer up a contract, an interest to this guy and his wife. And but they say, "Gigi, we just trust you." And I couldn't explain it. I was in disbelief, and I'm still in disbelief. Now, how would a stranger walk into my life to put money in my company without needing to understand what we're doing? So I was really disbelief. So that miracle gave me the room to breathe. And yes, we built again. Then in 2013, I was actually invited to Korea to represent Singapore to be a tea judge. And also participate in competition and conference. And I remember I almost didn't go because I thought to myself, could it be a scam? I was also thinking to myself, why me? But something nudged inside of me to go forward. So I went. I remember very vividly on the bus from Seoul to Boston, because I need to go to the Boston country, the tea garden, to do the judging and speaking at the conference. I remember in the coach, when I was reading a book, I hear a still small voice whisper in my ear and say, "Gigi, look at the mountains. They are like my promises to you, and then you will see no end." I couldn't explain where that voice came from. I couldn't explain what it means. All I did is I really cried quietly in my seat at the coach, because there are so many other overseas delegates there, and I was being so young then. I cried quietly in my seat. And because of this hope, because of this faith and this grace that I received, that was when I started OEM businesses for the company, and also setting up my own brand of LT. And that is where things started to change. So sometimes, just as we are thinking too quick, grace do show up. And it really did in my life. And in really most unexpected way. And that was how I rebuilt. And even after that, you have just heard the miracle. So even after that, I hit rock bottom again in 2022. That was after the pandemic. We lost more than $500,000 Sing dollars. And I was really, really ready to close the business. And I remember I was sitting at my warehouse at Upper Thompson. I was thinking to myself, maybe now is the time to close, maybe. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, orders started to come in. Not only orders started to come in, and we began to find our first distributor, and we appoint them. We have our distributor today. From then to today, we have a distributor in Hong Kong and Macau. Then we have distributor in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, Philippines, and then we export even to Maldives and Japan. Now we're in talk with a few other countries. So I was really stunned because I'm in the middle of the thing, maybe it's time to close my company because we couldn't make it financially. So all of this, it just swept through. And I was stunted. And I was really at the edge of giving up, but opportunity came rushing in. So what do you do when you're in that position? So with everything under one roof, my company, so we turn tea into innovative beverages and product, and we become the tea partner of choice in the HoReCa and retail industry. HoReCa stands for hotel, restaurant, cafe, across Asia. So I realized this very interesting thing, that is when resilient, when it pairs with agility, that you're able to pivot and adapt, it creates opportunity. And when resilience, it pairs with, when your faith pairs with actions, it actually brings miracle. There's a very thing that I really believe is in the midst of it. When you encounter something, what are you doing? For me, I keep a good attitude in the whole midst of it. And if I could go back and speak to the 2009 version of me, I have said, it's going to be hard. But you are tougher than you think. And the world needs what you're building. This is what I would tell myself. Today, our business is present in more than 8 countries. And we're working towards opening up 35 countries in 5 years. But more than the business growth, what I really cherish is who I have become. A woman who didn't quit. A woman who stayed rooted in faith through it all. A woman who let brokenness become the soil for great breakthrough. And I think every setback that I encounter, every setback that I face, every betrayal that I had, every moment of doubt, in the middle of the night, have really shaped the woman that you have seen today. To end this, I want to leave you with this. That resilience isn't about being fearless. It isn't. It's about showing up anyway. Like you and I here, we're showing up. And that is the good news. And that is the key. We show up afraid. We show up uncertain where the future holds, where the future leads. I'm flying back to Singapore. Will anything happen to my company? We're in the midst of relocation to bigger facility right now. So when your path is filled with all this, closed door, betrayal, doubts, I hope you remember this, that your story isn't over. The story isn't over. So every time you choose to rise again, you're writing the next chapters. And sometimes the mountains that you climb, it will seem hard. But yet, like my story, it might become the promises to you. Thank you.